Welcome back to the Sixers But Chill. I appreciate you guys still checking me out. I know I said I was going to have a video every week, and I held that up for like 3 weeks. I did start a new job recently. I got hired like after I started doing this, so I've kind of been preoccupied with that, and I'm 2 weeks in now, so I kind of have a routine set, and I'll have more time to allot into making videos. And also, my town was hit by the hurricane, so there was a period where I was kind of just preparing for that, even though our town was luckily not hit very hard. I do live in Florida. And also, I've just been kind of lazy, along with, it's preseason. There were some things I guess I could have talked about, but nothing really concrete happened with the Sixers. They did cut one of my favorite players, which sucks. Rest in peace, Isaiah Joe and the Sixers, 2020 to 2022. But I am back. The season starts in 2 days. The city's kind of on fire. The Eagles are 5-0. The Phillies just made the NLCS somehow. And the Sixers start on Tuesday night. They're going to kick the season off. So I am going to be having videos more consistently. I don't want to give any time frame on any kind of consistent schedule just because clearly I can't hold that. But there will be videos consistently. There's going to be a lot more to talk about. Also, I really want to say thank you to everyone that supported so far. I have almost 70 subscribers as of today, the 16th, and the Tobias video actually got over 3,000 views, which is crazy. I've never really had something get that much traction before. I had one tweet that blew up like 4 years ago, but other than that, this is something I actually put real work into. So I appreciate everyone supporting that video. I think I tried getting Tobias to watch it. I DM'd him because his Twitter DMs are open. I doubt he saw it. But I did get a lot of traction on that, so I appreciate it, really. So today I just kind of wanted to get my final thoughts on the team before the season starts. It's been a really long offseason. I mean, the Sixers stopped playing in the middle of May, and they really ended with a whimper, which sucked. And the offseason as a whole just felt really long, especially compared to the last two offseasons, which were shortened. And, the KD trade, nothing happened. And then, there was a long lull in the offseason where, literally nothing happened. And then the last few weeks have actually been pretty entertaining with some of the stuff that's happened with the Warriors and the Celtics and the Donovan Mitchell trade, obviously. But in general, it's been pretty quiet. So now I'm ready and loaded. I just want to give some predictions on the team, kind of like where I'm at with the organization as things get started. So first things first, a general prediction of the season as a whole. I do honestly think that the Sixers are going to be a top 2 seed this year. And honestly, I think they're going to get the 1 seed. Assuming anything huge doesn't happen health-wise, and predicting injuries, it just kind of takes all the, there's no point in trying to make a prediction that somebody's going to get injured. Obviously, Embiid will miss some games, but every year Embiid's played with the Sixers, they've been at least a 50-win team, and James Harden has led a lot of teams with 50 wins in the past. Obviously, he's not the same guy, but even with Embiid out, with the depth they've added, I do think they're going to be a top 2 seed and win around 55 games in the regular season. Obviously, the biggest question for the Sixers going into this season is what kind of James Harden they're going to see this year. Last year, he still played well, still played at a high level, but obviously he was not what we know James Harden had been in the past, at least, recovering from that hamstring injury. I do think so far, in the 3 preseason games we watched, he does look better. He does look maybe 10 to 15% springier, bouncier. Not all the way back, obviously. He's 33. He's just not going to be, the end of Rockets' tenure James Harden anymore. I do think he can get to that, 2021 level with the Nets. Maybe not all the way, but close, which would be fine for the Sixers. With how good Embiid is, that's fine. He was getting real lifts on his floaters and layups that I really like to see, because last year he was basically maybe getting 10 inches off the ground on those floaters. It was pretty hard to watch. And he's also been taking a lot of mid-range jumpers, which I'm actually okay with. Preferably he doesn't do it when Embiid's in the game, but I understand it, and it definitely will help him attack drop schemes more. If he can't get all the way to the basket anymore, he'll definitely still be effective. We know he can make the shot. I mean, it's easier shots for him. I wouldn't be surprised if his field goal percentage actually went up, even though field goal percentage doesn't really matter. It would just be nice to see. It's nice to see him kind of get back to that game that he kind of had when he first got to Houston and then abandoned once the whole Morey ball era was at its peak in 2019. I also do think there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment for Harden and Embiid this year, because last year they did seem to click pretty early on, but that was mostly because Harden knew he wasn't all the way himself, and he was more than willing to kind of be that facilitator, which he's still going to be, obviously, but I do think he wants to be more of a lead scoring option again, which is fine with me. If anybody saw that practice that the Sixers had on NBA TV a few weeks ago, which, by the way, was like the coolest thing I've seen on NBA media in years, honestly. Like, that was awesome. I did not expect it to be that in-depth. He had a really interesting conversation with Doc for like 2 minutes, basically about how he was trying to balance, being the lead scorer that he used to be and also being a facilitator, because obviously the Sixers badly need his passing. He's really the only above-average passer on the team right now. And I do think there's going to be a little more Harden ball, Harden ISOing, even when Embiid's in the game, which the team needs. The team needs him to be that guy, at least a little bit. Now, with Maxey here, it's not as imperative, but it's still going to be important to have, eventually, if he can't score at that level, teams are going to defend him differently. It's going to be harder for the Sixers in general. And then they're kind of at the same issue that they had a few years ago where they just don't have enough perimeter scoring. He shouldn't have to, and I think he's smart enough to realize that the team won't go anywhere if he has to play like that. There's no team in the NBA that really gets there with one guy doing everything, unless it's like the 2018 Cavs. So obviously the next guy to talk about, Tyrese Maxey. He looks unbelievable in the preseason. Again, it's just preseason, but he does seem to be a lot more comfortable on the court. He looks as willing as ever to shoot. He's been knocking down shots. He's been getting to the basket. He's kind of drawing fouls more, which is everything we wanted to see he seems to be doing. I don't think he's going to make that huge playmaking leap yet, but he does look more comfortable with the ball in his hands, making passes, which is great. And it's just, I've never seen someone with such a high approval rating outside of Embiid. I haven't met a Sixers fan who doesn't like Maxey. Even the most casual, pessimistic Sixers fans that I know, they still love Maxey. And it's only been 1 year, and I think he's going to keep getting better. He's just kind of wired that way. He looks great physically. He looks a little stronger. I think there's a real most improved case. I think he's going to average about 20 points a game. He might get some all-star buzz this year, even though I don't think he's all the way there yet. I mean, there's going to be competition in the East, although there's not that many guards in the East that are great. There's LaMelo, Harden, Trey, obviously. DeJounte Murray's in the East now. Like, they're Kyrie. I mean, it'll be tough, but I think he has a shot, which is amazing. Way more than... I had pretty high expectations for him, but he's exceeded those so greatly so far. So, not much else to say. Obviously, defense will be an issue with him and Harden. I think it's going to be fine, though. I don't think it's going to be them getting torched every possession. Maxey is not a complete zero on defense the way some people act. I mean, he works hard to get around screens. He's active. He needs to get a little bit better, not over helping, stuff like that, which can be coached. I mean, it's still only his third year. And Harden, I thought Harden was not terrible on defense last year, honestly. I thought he gave effort most of the time. I thought he tried. He's still tough to move in the post. Laterally, his foot speed's not there anymore, but I don't think he's going to be a complete negative either, and they do have a lot of personnel to make up for that, although it'll be something they have to monitor, and there will be times where it's going to be tempting to get the Anthony Melton in there, but I do think Harden and Maxey can make it work enough. There have been worse defensive backcourts that have made it pretty far in the last few years, so I'm not terribly worried about that, but obviously it's a really helpful player for us because he's really the third best ball handler on the team. And they kind of need that guy to kind of relieve pressure for Maxey and Harden. And I think he can do it as a ball handler, but if he can't shoot, it's going to be hard to kind of put him into more lineups. I don't know what's happened. That first year that he played, he was really hitting shots so comfortably, and that tracked with everything he had shown in the past. And then ever since then, it's like he's shooting a heavy ball. And I don't know if it's because he's gotten bigger, like his arms have gotten bigger, and it's kind of messed with his form or something. I mean, he's still pretty skinny, even though he has put on muscle. It's just, he's a skinny guy. I don't know. I really hope he can figure out. I really like Shake. This is the last year of his deal. I don't think he's going to get traded just because he makes such little money that it kind of doesn't make sense to trade him. And he's not going to get extended because I think he's worth, probably, like $8 million a year. And I don't think he could even get that in an extension just based on how little he makes right now. So I hope he can figure it out. I hope Shake can be that kind of guy again. It would be really big for them. Because he's a good player, it's just the fit has been kind of iffy ever since he stopped shooting a lot of threes. So how do I think the Sixers will ultimately end the season? I actually do think that they're going to make the conference finals this year, which is a really hard prediction to make just because I've been burned so many times, but I'm trying to keep it somewhat reined in. I do think this is the year. I think they're going to get the top seed in the East. They have the deepest team. The Bucks are really thin right now. They're going to be starting the season down a couple wings. I mean, Middleton's not going to play to start the year, and now Connaughton's out for a few weeks. I would not be surprised if the Bucks are kind of taking it easy, even though I do think Giannis is going to be the MVP this year, because I still think they're going to be a top 3 seed, and I think he's just unreal, and he's going to be the best player in the league still. And by the end of the year, I think they'll be a real threat. It's just, I could see them having, closer to 51 wins than maybe 55. And with Boston, obviously Williams is out. They've had a lot of drama. The Heat are still kind of lacking at forward, and they might be, taking it somewhat easy. Jimmy's getting up there, and so is Lowry. I mean, they might be, there might be some load managing. Not like Jimmy's ever been particularly great in the regular season. We know he's liable to take some games off in the regular season, which is fine because he always performs in the playoffs. And the rest of the East, I mean, the Nets, maybe. The Nets are just such a wild card that I can't really predict them, but KD's been missing a lot of games. Kyrie obviously misses a lot of games. Even before all the weird stuff happened, he was still, liable to miss about 20 games. Simmons will probably be on some kind of plan at the beginning of the year, at least, with his back surgery, so I don't think they're really going to be racking up wins like that. I mean, the Sixers are just primed to really go on a run for the whole year. They're really deep. Everyone seems healthy right now. Obviously, knock on wood. Doc Rivers is a great regular season coach. They should be able to survive the time where Embiid's not in the game, which they have in the last few regular seasons, at least, the first half of last regular season, because Drummond was helpful and Dwight was helpful, and all the backup options they have right now are better than those guys, so they should be okay. I think they're going to get the top seed, which is going to be huge, because I do think Boston is going to get one of those 2 or 3 seeds, so if they can avoid Boston until the conference finals, I really do think that they can make the Eastern Conference Finals, which would be huge for me because, I was 2 when they went to the finals with Iverson. I haven't seen them make it back since, even the conference finals. So I just want to see that. I just want to get the monkey off the back. Obviously, all the juju in past years with, Embiid and Harden's playoff issues, even though Embiid's been pretty great in the playoffs, it's just a lot of weird stuff's happened. Doc Rivers blowing leads. I get it, but I do think this is going to be the year where they make the conference finals. And if they play the Celtics, I don't think I would pick them, but if they play anyone else, I do think I would pick them, which I know is kind of a cop-out answer, but just based off the way we match up with the Celtics, I worry, honestly. The Celtics are loaded, and I know they've had a lot of drama and injuries and stuff, but if the Celtics are at full strength by May, even with the new coach, I do think they're going to make the finals. Because that team is perfectly built to beat us, honestly. With the wings that they have, and now they got Brogdon, and they got, Gallo's out, Blake Griffin's washed. I'm not really worried about that. But still, they're going to be a force. And they've got the personnel on defense to make Embiid's life hard. Even though he's so much bigger than everyone, and they're not super deep at center, we know how they guard Embiid, and Embiid can still get his, but it's going to be a lot of work. And I wouldn't, it's not going to be a rout. I don't think that they would get killed by the Celtics. They could beat the Celtics. I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying I wouldn't pick them. So my general prediction is losing a tight conference finals, because I do think Boston's going to go to the finals, which I know no one wants to hear. I don't want to hear it. I was so sad when the Celtics beat Miami, and I don't even like Miami, and I was still rooting pretty hard for Miami last year. But that's still a positive season. The East is loaded. Obviously, we're kind of in a title or bust, at least finals or bust kind of mode. But if we're trying to be realistic, the Sixers making the conference finals and losing is not a complete and utter failure, to me at least. Because I do think it's kind of right now a 2-year thing with Harden. And then after that, I don't even want to think about it. Although they should still have Embiid and Maxey. Maxey will get his extension next summer, I assume, barring any crazy, things happening, and they'll have some money to play with. But still, this year I am predicting top seed in the East, conference finals loss. So not to be a downer or anything, again, I would not be surprised if they went to the finals. I would not even be surprised if they won the finals. There's no team in the league right now that's, the prime Warriors or whatever, where I don't think the Sixers have even a shot at making the finals. It's a really stacked league right now, and the bottom of the league is going to be really bad with everyone tanking for Victor, but there's a lot of really good teams in the NBA right now. It's crazy how much talent. I know everyone's been saying this, but it's true. If you just look on paper, at least, now obviously there'll be injuries and stuff like that, and stuff won't work, blah, 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 but just on paper, I don't remember a time where there's been so many teams that just seem like they're like 8 deep, 9 deep with good players. Like we're really seeing in general how talented the league is getting and how much more talent's being infused into the league, especially with all these different avenues to get to the league now, like the G League Ignite stuff, Overtime Elite. There's going to be 2 top prospects coming out next year. Players are coming from all over. There's more ways to get into the league. Players are playing 2 years in the G League instead of playing their last year of high school. Like Scoot's going to have 2 years of, not to get super off, the Sixers, but Scoot Henderson's going to have 2 years of playing an NBA type atmosphere. Obviously it's different, but the size of the court and everything, they'll have like a travel schedule that's somewhat similar to the NBA. Like they'll have an infrastructure for 2 years coming into the league, and he's still only going to be 19, but that's so much better than playing high school and then 20 college games where everything's micromanaged. It's different, but I think it's going to be really big. So the league right now, it's really exciting. I know everyone's like, oh my god, the NBA, it's so dumb with all the shooting and stuff, all the 3-point shooting and nothing else, but if you really just watch, it's really a cool time to be watching the league right now, especially because for the last 4 years, there hasn't really been a super dominant team, so it's been entertaining. There's been a lot of teams that go into the playoffs thinking they can win a title, and for as much shit as we want to give, the Sixers and Ben Simmons and, Elton Brand and Colangelo, blah, blah, the fact that for the 5th straight year, the Sixers have the expectation of being one of those teams is really cool, and they've done a good job with, obviously they've had a lot of fuck-ups, but there's been a lot of cool stuff. So, yeah, again, conference finals is my prediction. I wouldn't say they're going to win right now, but again, wouldn't be surprised. I do think Maxey is I haven't looked at most improved odds, and most improved odds is just, I would never bet something like that because the criteria has been so janky. I mean, Ja won last year, which I agree with the fact he should not have won last year. He was already great, but I understand why. I think Maxey's really primed to do that, though, because he has a clear defined role on a really great team, and he wasn't so good last year where he can't get it, He's definitely good at, he'll have more touches, especially at the beginning of the season, because last year at the beginning of the season, he really wasn't getting those kind of touches. So I do think he's going to be a huge piece this year. I love it. I can't wait. The Sixers are deep. It's going to be a really fun year. Didn't really love those jersey leaks. I can't believe they're going away from the Spectrum stuff, even though I know last year was supposed to be like a throwback for a lot of the City jerseys because of the 75th anniversary stuff. But I don't know. If I were them, I would have tried to bring those back or at least do a variation on those because those were sick and the City embraced them. Again, that stuff doesn't matter. That's just me being picky. But yeah, thank you for watching. I want to have a video out this week. I can't confirm. If I do, I'll probably record Thursday, just talking about the Celtics game maybe, because I'm off Thursday. I don't want to commit to that though, so don't expect anything. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at AndyQuinlan3. The SQ Sports Pod is happening. I'm actually going to record with Shane in about an hour, and it's going to get uploaded Monday morning, so be on the lookout for that. We actually recorded on Friday night, and our audio got completely destroyed, or that was Thursday night, sorry, and our audio got completely destroyed. I was actually going to clip part of it and put it on here about the Sixers, but we're just going to have to keep going because we don't want to just not bring the podcast back, so expect something on there, SQ Sports NBA Podcast on all platforms. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.